Ciao a tutti, mi chiamo Rick, sto imparando l'italiano. In questo video vi parlo di come studio italiano. Se stai imparando l'italiano anche tu, questo video è per te. Over the last few years, I've tried a lot of different ways to learn Italian. Some were brilliant, some were useful but limited, and others were great at certain stages but not forever. This is a rundown of everything that I've used, what worked, and why. Coffee Break Italian. This was one of the very first resources that I used. It's a great, slow introduction to the language. I really like the dynamic between the teacher, the native speaker, and the student, and it does a good job of explaining concepts and recurring patterns in the language. That said, it's not amazing for repeated exposure to those patterns and concepts. È un ottimo punto di partenza se sei all'inizio. Easy Italian. The Easy Italian YouTube channel is brilliant. They're a fantastic team and especially good when you're starting out. Their slow Italian videos are great for beginners, but they also have loads of entertaining content on everyday topics. It's an excellent way to get a feel for how real Italians actually speak, and you also absorb a lot of Italian culture along the way. Ti aiuta a capire come parlano davvero gli italiani. Language transfer. Language transfer is a bit of a hidden gem, I think. I listened to it on SoundCloud, and it was the first time I was properly exposed to some key grammatical concepts that are really important in Italian. Language transfer gets into the weeds of grammar very quickly. The downside is that there's a lot of English explanation, so it's not great for pure language exposure, but it's a fantastic way for understanding how Italian actually works. È molto utile per capire la grammatica italiana. Pimsleur Speak and Read Essential Italian. Pimsleur is excellent for listening on the go. I actually found this course for free online, and I know there's versions floating around on YouTube as well. Out of all of the methods so far, it's one of the best for exposing you to Italian. It teaches useful phrases, and it's great for starting shadowing practice. That said, the content can feel a little bit restrictive. Sometimes it leans into business language or very American-centric scenarios, which weren't always relevant to me. Still, I really enjoyed using it. È molto buono per abituare l'orecchio all'italiano. Yoga in Italian. For a few months, I did yoga every morning following Italian instructors on YouTube. Specifically, Yoga con Celeste, Denise Della Giacoma, e Tiny Yoga. This was a really fun way to incorporate Italian into my everyday life without studying. What made it especially effective was the repetition. The phrases, body parts, and instructions come up again and again, and because they're paired with video and physical movement, you naturally infer meaning from context, and over time I just absorbed the language. Impari l'italiano senza studiare troppo. Music. I also spent a lot of time finding Italian music I genuinely enjoy on Spotify. I'd listen whilst driving or commuting. You don't even need to look up the lyrics, just enjoying the music and catching the occasional word or phrase that you do understand is incredibly motivating. That's how I picked up words like tramonto, sunset, and alba, sunrise. A lot of the joy in language learning comes from understanding real stuff, even in small pieces. La musica rende l'apprendimento più piacevole. Movies and Netflix. I watched Italian films and series on Netflix, often using the Language Reactor Chrome extension to show both English and Italian subtitles at the same time. It was huge for motivation because enjoying content in the language makes you want to keep going. Guardare film in italiano aiuta molto la motivazione. Video games. I played 2 games entirely in Italian. Animal Crossing New Horizons and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Both are amazing for language learning. Classic Nintendo games let you control the pace of dialogue so you can stop, check translations, or infer meaning from the context of the game. They also label objects constantly, fruit, items, tools, so as you walk around the worlds, you're repeatedly seeing Italian words tied directly to real objects. It's a surprisingly effective way to learn vocabulary. È un modo divertente per imparare nuove parole. Apps. Duolingo. Duolingo is genuinely a great tool. I reached something like a 700 to 800 day streak before I stopped using it. It's gamified, social, it's fun, especially if you're using it alongside friends or, in my case, a partner. That said, I eventually found it too slow in terms of exposure. I was still mostly in the present tense and hadn't really encountered past or future tenses or any kind of more interesting sentence structures for that matter. A lot of lessons focused on matching words rather than producing language. I got a lot of value from Duolingo, but if you find yourself doing it just to keep a streak alive before bed, it might be time to consider exploring other options. È utile, ma non basta per parlare bene. Language shadowing. For me, that alternative to Duolingo was languageshadowing.com. I added it to my phone's home screen and I use it every day now. The concept is simple, to be honest. You listen to phrases and repeat them out loud, but it expands massively on what Pimsleur offers. There are beginner paths, stories, which I love, a lot of different scenarios. I'd often do a chapter a day whilst walking to work, showering, or even washing the dishes often. That was a huge win for me because I wasn't tied to a screen like I was with Duolingo, and so this is now my primary method because it strongly encourages speaking. It doesn't hold back on exposing you to past tense, future tense, and real sentence structures, and I think it fits naturally into daily life, and so it's effectively replaced both Duolingo and Pimsleur for me. Ripetere ad alta voce fa una grande differenza. Real life practice. iTalki. I used iTalki a few times and it's excellent for pushing you out of your comfort zone. Speaking in real time and thinking on the spot and actually using the language is, of course, incredibly effective. It does come with some downsides. It's more expensive, it's time consuming and energy intensive. I also found that my tutor wasn't necessarily always invested in my progress, which made it harder to stay consistent and come back every week. But overall, I still would highly recommend it. Parlare con un insegnante aiuta tantissimo. Speaking with friends. I also met up with a friend, Anthony, a few times and spoke only in Italian whilst having coffee. This is hard. It's far more intense than using an app, but it's also incredibly effective. If you can find a meetup group or a friend to practice with, I'd strongly recommend it. È difficile, ma impari molto più velocemente. In recent years, I've been lucky enough to travel to Italy a few times and actually use my Italian. And I'm also going to an Italian wedding in June, so I'm going to be practicing a lot for that. There's nothing more satisfying and motivating than using the language in the country where it's spoken natively. Italians are generally very open to you speaking Italian, even when they know English probably better than you know Italian, and that makes a huge difference. Fantastic people, fantastic culture, fantastic language. I think you've made a good choice. Parlare italiano in Italia è bellissimo. What I'm doing now. Recently, I've started speaking Italian in my own YouTube videos. I'm live streaming my language shadowing practice every weekend, and I'm also uploading regularly. If you want to join me on that journey, you are more than welcome. Thank you for watching today, and good luck on your Italian learning journey. And I'll see you in the next one. Grazie per aver guardato e in bocca al lupo con il tuo italiano. Ci vediamo nel prossimo video. Ciao, arrivederci.